morning, good afternoon, tea time. I don't know if there's bedtime as well today, but we are going across continents, though this is Asia Pacific, Oceania, Middle East, but we have contacts through our UNIMA national centers, and we've got a very interesting panel and the countries, and we will be introducing each of them one by one. But the countries that are participating today, Australia, and in the sequence that we will go, Australia, Korea, Thailand, Myanmar, India, Egypt, Turkey, and Morocco. Some of us are already online, some are waiting to come online, and if they come in between, then they would be added towards the end. So I would like to welcome you all to this conference today. It is UNIMA, linked to UNESCO, the ResiliArt conference, and to inform you that this is, as of now, one of the largest panels. We've got almost 8 people if everybody is online. So welcome to all of you. I would like to introduce our General Secretary to start, Idoia Otegi from Spain. Idoia.
Thank you very much, dear Daddy, our president. We have the honor today to have with us our dear President, Daddy Kudomji. I want to thank you very much for being with us today. And well, as you know, we are in the 6th ResiliArt Roundtable. And as Daddy said, is the biggest one. We have a lot of countries and a lot of interesting people. And well, you know, the project, the ResiliArt project started as is a UNESCO project. UNIMA is joined to UNESCO since the beginning. UNIMA is the oldest international association. It's a theatrical association. And the ResiliArt project aims to reflect the impact of the COVID-19 on the cultural sector. And well, when Clement Perezjatko from UNIMA, from TEMA, the French branch of UNIMA, present us the project, immediately we decided to join it because we found a very, very interesting project. Above all, because it allows us to, first of all, to be closer to our centers, and to know from first hand how are our centers, our people living this situation, which is the most important for us. Of course, it is important, the UNESCO project, but maybe it's more important to know the situation of the puppeteers of our people in the different countries. So this gives us the opportunity to know firsthand the situation in different countries. So for us, the most important in this is to know the situation of the artists, theaters, museums, technicians, artisans, everybody in the different countries. And once knowing this, try to sensitize the public opinion about the situation of all these artists, and also to sensitize the politicians to do more about the creators, puppeteers, etc. Because, as you know, the cultural sector is one of the most, who is suffering most the terrible situation that we are living in this moment. So to tell you the truth, we are very happy with the result of these roundtables. Up to now, we are having a lot of followers. It's a roundtable is increasing the number of followers, and they are also being very, very positive in the sense of the talks we are having, of the movement we are creating. We are for me, I'm trying. Well, in fact, I am attending all the roundtables, and the talks we are having are really very, very interesting. We are knowing the situation in the different countries. That for us is, as I said from the beginning, is the most important to know from first hand, and also to give the people, that people knows that we are here, that UNIMA is here, and that we are a big family that are that people knows that we are a big family, and that we are all together to try to, well, to live. We know we cannot solve the situation, because this is a situation that is the same everywhere, so it's very difficult to solve it. But well, we are together as a family, that one to the other, we help between all to try to solve and to try to spend this time the best way as we can. So I don't want to have more time. For me, the time is your time. We have a lot of things to listen from you, and very interesting things, I'm sure. I want to tell you who are the people that is here working a lot for these roundtables. Clement, that you have already know, which is the most important person here, which is coordinating all the roundtables. Clement Perejatko. Then we have the other coordinators, Christine Haverty from United States, Sergio Robert from Argentina, Nastia Mastakova from Russia, Soro Badrisa from Africa, Tanda Yu, and well, you know, Dadi and Anurupa that have coordinated the roundtable of today. This will not be the last sets of roundtables. We will try to have national roundtables also, and then another new set of roundtables after summer. And all this will finish on a resume, on a report of all the roundtables that will be presented to UNESCO, and after we will be presented to in the Congress. That if we can, we will do it in Bali next year. Don't love Daddy, and if not, we will see how we can do the next Congress. That we don't know how we will. And I would like to finish saying a words that Audrey Soleil, the General Director of UNESCO, when she was launching this ResiliArt project, ResiliArt movement said in UNESCO, and she said, in these unstable and uncertain times, we need to look to the things that unite us, the things that show us the world in all of its variations. And for that, we need artists. And I add to this, we need puppeteers. So thank you, and the word is for you.
Thank you, Idoia. As Idoia said, we are all hanging on. We would have changed our positions in April this year if the conference or the Congress, UNIMA Congress, would have happened in Bali, and we hope that it'll happen in April next year. So till then, you all have to bear up with us. As President of UNIMA International, I welcome all of you on this panel. This morning, when we was looking through the definition, the word, some of us know about it, but the word resilience, from where this conference or this whole roundtable is happening. And as usual, as we are right now searching on the net, I found some interesting definitions. The definition of resilient is someone or something that bounces back into shape or recovers quickly. An example of resilient is elastic, being stretched and returning to its normal size after being let go. An example of resilient is a sick person rapidly getting healthy. All of this is easier said than done. And there are some very interesting points, the skills that they talk about to cultivate a belief in your ability to cope, to stay connected with sources of support, to talk about what you're going through right now, to be able to be helpful to others, to activate positive emotion, to cultivate an attitude of survivorship, well, and to seek meaning, This time that we're all going through is amazing. It's one little virus and the whole world has been captured by it. And as artists, as puppeteers, it's very important that we manage to stay afloat. In most of our countries in this Congress, there are some modern contemporary puppeteers, but there are a lot of traditional puppeteers in each of our countries. And many of them are facing a huge problem. It's not just the pandemic, but there have been calamities, there have been earthquakes, there have been cyclones, and there are festivals that happen during certain parts of the year, and those cannot happen because people cannot gather because of isolation. So their livelihoods have stopped. So there are a lot of things to look into, and I would start with the first person on the panel from Australia, Michael Barlow. He's puppeteer and director. He is the Associate Director of Spare Parts Puppet Theatre in Perth, Western Australia, where he has worked since 1992 as puppeteer, writer, director, and trainer. He's a past member of the UNIMA Australian Committee. Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Dadi.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, terrific. All right. I just thought I would explain a little bit about the situation in Australia generally. As I'm sure you know, we're a very large country physically, so we're all spread quite widely apart from each other in this art form. Puppetry is not a very large art form in Australia, but fortunately UNIMA Australia has been growing in the last couple of years, so we are getting bigger. The industry here is a mixture of small companies that are funded by governments, some who work in theatres, some who concentrate on outdoor performance, also individual independent artists and small private companies. Most of us are in large urban areas and cities. Some are also in regional and remote parts of the country, quite a long way away from the rest of the country, and where there's less infrastructure and things like internet access is not as good. In Australia, the audience for puppetry is still predominantly children and families, but artists are increasingly working and making performance for adult audiences as well. We don't have our own traditional forms of puppetry in Australia. We've borrowed from everywhere else in the rest of the world and adapted those borrowed forms. But there are puppeteers working in more traditional hand puppetry or Punch and Judy style, shadow puppetry, rod and mouth puppets, puppets adapted from bunraku and so on. And the rest of us are working in a mixture in a contemporary manner. These responses are a summary from artists from all of those backgrounds. So I thought what I would do is just introduce the questions that we were responding to, and then give you a short summary of the themes in each of those areas. So in the first one, were you able to continue a cultural and artistic activity during the crisis? I think that the first thing to acknowledge is that many artists were not. Some lost all of their upcoming performances, and with that, the income for this period. And some of those artists are literally waiting until they're able to go back and work for audiences in the manner that they were before COVID began. And for everybody else, the ways in which they were able to continue during this period of confinement, a lot of artists were continuing to work in creative development, script writing, design processes, puppet making, further development of existing works from repertoire was able to continue. Some of that had to take place over video conference, and then as restrictions have eased in Australia, increasingly that's been able to take place in the normal manner in the same physical space. Of course, the interaction with the audience is a large chunk of that which hasn't been able to take place at all, other than the new ways in which work online has opened up different ways of working, and that's generally been seen as a positive change here, and particularly in giving us an opportunity to work with artists and audiences from a greater distance than we would normally. So being able to reach over that distance between us to work together. Moving on to our second one, have you experienced another period of confinement in your career? On the whole, there hadn't been much experience of that other than one experience of illness. So this is very much a new challenge for artists in this country. It was interesting though that there were some previous experiences of working over, particularly over things like Zoom, and that had unexpectedly been useful in this time. I'm being told I need to hurry up. I'm waffling. When it comes to getting back into our normal activities, we've had some national research that shows the vast majority of Australians are willing to go back to the theatre before the risk is completely removed. Only about 10% of the audience have said that they will wait until the risk is absolutely zero before they would return. But the vast majority will, of course, paying greater attention to care to maintain distance and health for both the artists and the audiences. And that's meaning that there's less physical interaction possible for some artists than they would have had with their audiences before. I guess the big one, this question of how new technology has changed our practices, most people were in favour of it. There were some particularly very established individual puppeteers who were not interested in the sort of opportunities that working over video call were opening up, but almost everybody else saw some potential to make use of this. And there's been some influence because of those new forms from things that we might have called film language rather than live theatre language in the way that works are being made in order to sit in this new medium. And I think we're at the beginning of seeing a sort of interrogation of how those new tools can be used more creatively. Because of the speed with which everybody had to adapt what they were doing, there wasn't a lot of time to perhaps interrogate the most creative use of working in this remote way. But I think that we're very much at the beginning of a period where we see that developed more and more. Before I run out of time, UNIMA Australia has been absolutely pivotal in providing a point of contact for puppeteers and members both in Australia and outside the borders at the moment, through sharing information, from things as simple as assisting puppeteers with how to access support, to informal meetings and gatherings where puppeteers can come together and work together and just share a conversation, to more structured meetings, to working towards future projects. And there have been a lot of other online opportunities run by the Australia Council and other organisations that have sought to bring artists together to share information and to create solidarity amongst them. Maybe before I go completely out of time, I should just mention that as far as receiving money goes, again, the Australia Council, which is our federal funding body, redirected monies that would have gone into other arts funding into a resilience fund that was specifically to support artists during this period. Of the people who responded to the questions, only about half had been able to access funding support. We also had a federal government program that would offset the lost income for anyone who could show that they had lost more than 30% of their income due to COVID. And that's been something that has supported the artists at the company that I work at, for instance. But as I say, only about half have been able to access. The others have lost their income from their normal performance work and also have not been able to access either that wage support or grant monies that have been made available. So it's been a pretty brutal time. And that's in an environment in which arts funding has been declining in Australia over several years. Perhaps I should finish there to not sort of run over time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Interesting. You're one of the few countries that the government has given some amounts of sustenance to artists, not everywhere that it's happening. And as you said, not everybody has been able to access it, but we're drop in the ocean. The second speaker today is from Korea, Jo Hyunsan, and we call her Jin Yong Kim. And she's the international coordinator of puppet theater group Arts Stage San, very well-known group in South Korea since 2018. Also, she's the secretary of UNIMA Korea from 2018 to 2020, and was the programmer of the International Arts Festival in Korea in Gwacheon and Ansan from 2010 to 2016. She's also, it's a very interesting performance, very, very touching performance called Dale's Story in 2008. And this has toured to over 20 countries and was awarded the best performance for Titirai in Spain in 2019. So welcome, Jo, from Korea, South Korea. Jo, yep. Jo, yep. You need to unmute your mic.
How about now? Do you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hello. My name is Jin. Well, as I said, we apologize that Mr. Jo is not available to come here today. So I am going to just introduce the Korean situation, reading some response to the questions. Number one, were you able to continue cultural artist activity during the crisis? Well, I can say almost everyone is not able to continue their activities during the crisis, and it has been several months already. So most of them are working on script works or construction of puppets. And workshops and rehearsals are not really possible unless they are for really small groups. And most of the shows and festivals have been canceled, and some of them are postponed like several months later in autumn. So how does containment change your practice? Well, we think that a number of the performances in theater has decreased, and some of the artists are trying to present the shows outdoor, even though they are for indoor shows. And actually, it's question number 2. Actually, we had another disease in 2019 called swine fever. This has affected like cancellation of some kind of opening ceremonies or parades which gather a lot of people. But the festivals were going on still. Well, there were other cases besides disease, like political or international problems, such as Sewol ferry sinking. I don't know if you guys know about this, or THAAD. We had issues with China a few years ago, but nothing was like this for such a long period. We have confinement. So, okay, number 3. How do you consider getting back into your activities? Well, many artists don't think that it's easy to get back to the activities like before Corona, especially small companies or private companies are having more difficulties to have professional managing part, but it is important to have good connection and cooperation between the management and the creation. And also, although it's difficult, we think it's important to get back to our activities, especially in this current situation. The roles of arts are more valuable. There are some artists who try to find another way to meet the audience in this crisis, but also there are some artists who want to try to more focus on basics. Number 4, did new technologies change your practice during this crisis? Well, in Korea, the new technologies such as VR or online streaming and SNS, things like people were not really interested in before, are becoming more important platform than it was ever before. So, and also there are many fundings for these technologies. So we think we need more research and study about these technologies, and they need to be considered when we create puppetry. Now, in Korea, there are many puppetry communities except UNIMA Korea. We have Korean Puppetry Association. And well, Korean Puppetry Association is much older than UNIMA Korea. So people now recognizing that UNIMA Korea is more of international exchanges, and the Korean Puppetry Association is more between domestic companies. And there is also independent performing artist network, which is a network of one person artist, solo artist. And there's a big festival called Chuncheon International Festival, which is now, this festival is actually held in, let's say, September, October, in the autumn. But now the big festival, most of the big festivals are canceled. So this Chuncheon International Festival is now, like, what they're doing is they like divide the festival into small groups. So it's going like every month in a small place. So like last month, we called it mini festival. So last called mini festival version of Chuncheon Festival was held in Nami Island. And like a few weeks later, it was held in Chuncheon Animation Museum with a small audience. So they're find their way to do the festival like this. Number 6, did you receive public funds or government support? Yes, I asked many puppeteers about this, and most of them said that they got support, even though it was a small amount. Many of them got the support and funding from government or local culture foundation. In Korea, there are many local culture foundation, like different city has different culture foundation, and they have the funding for those artists who live in their place, their city. So
Jin,
yeah.
your time is running out, but maybe if you have time at the end, yeah. And the report that you have made was interesting. If you can send it to us as also, you know.
Great.
We'll have time at the end, I'm sure, again. Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to tell all of our panelists that Jin from the city of Chuncheon, I mean, the UNIMA Center, and the person who would have been, if I'm not mistaken, as a panelist who couldn't be today is Mr. Jo Hyunsan, is that right? And what is interesting, he's a puppeteer and was also the mayor of Chuncheon City, right? Can you hear me, Jin?
Sorry, I just missed your saying.
I said that Mr. Jo, that the previous person who was going to be on the panel for Korea is a puppeteer and is at present also the mayor of Chuncheon City. Is that right?
No.
Okay, it's changed.
No, it's not changed. Mayor of Chuncheon is was the president of UNIMA Korea, but now it changed.
Okay.
And Mr. Jo Hyunsan is he is a director of my puppet company.
That's
and
right.
Also he is a president of Korean Puppetry Association.
Right. And the city of Chuncheon was a very big contender to have a UNIMA Congress. They've always been trying, and they are very keen to one day have it. They have a beautiful theater there. They have a very beautiful puppet museum also in the city of Chuncheon. So thank you very much, Jin.
Thank you. Thank you.
We go to our next speaker, who's from Thailand. And as we've had 2 or 3 changes till the last minute, her name is Prinam Chalyamart, and she's the vice chairman and puppeteer of the Simathai Marionette Group. Would you please introduce yourself a little bit, because we do not have your biodata with us. Thank you. Thailand. Unmute your mic, please. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Yep.
Hello, everyone. Yeah. My name is Prinam Chalyamart from Thailand. I'm work with Simathai Marionette Foundation, Art for Social. We work for the youth puppet puppeteer in Thailand. And in Thailand have many kind of puppet and have many puppet troops. Maybe more than 80 troops in Thailand, around Thailand. And we had interesting for in develop community theater and build up the youth puppet community in Thailand to collect them for the puppet use around Thailand and make the platform puppet festival for start in the local area. Name Harmony Puppet Thailand. The festival is for the youth puppeteer can exchange they work and now when have situation with COVID-19 the puppeteer around Thailand has stopped working because they can't show everything cancelled and have many effects for them. And we try to find a way to help and solve this situation for the youth puppeteer because they not have anyone to take care of them. Sorry. But in the last month, we have the Harmony Puppet Online Festival for the Thai puppet in Thailand can work together and they will don't lost the audience. The audience can follow them in the online. Sorry, I think I finished in the first. Sorry, because my English is not good.
That's okay.
Thank
Fine.
you.
Thank you. Maybe you can send us the written report that you have also, yeah, on email to Anurupa and me. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thailand, as you know, as many of us know, a lot of puppet groups as well, both traditional as well as some very sort of revived traditions, new traditions, Joe Louis theater. The Semathai marionettes have been working with, I think, string puppets for a certain period of time. And also the festival that she spoke about, the Harmony World Puppet Festival, is one of the largest, I would say. Another festival like Charleville-Mézières has one of the largest puppet world international festivals. This is also a very, very large puppet festival that happens in this part of the world, in Asia. So thank you very much. I'd like to introduce a very special person. Next is from Myanmar. Her name is Mama Nyang, and Mama Nyang is special because I was reading her biography, her books, and in the early days in Myanmar, there were these two women who went around and started, you know, puppet theater and to try and bring it out. There are a lot of traditional puppeteers. Even her own marionette theater has traditional puppeteers working with them. She's the founder of one of the puppeteers of the founder and one of the puppeteers of the Myanmar Marionette Theatre in Mandalay, formerly known as Mandalay Marionettes, founded in Mandalay in 1990. In addition, she is the chair of the nationwide Myanmar Marionette Committee, which has been working hard to safeguard their traditional and unique Myanmar puppetry. An irreplaceable cultural treasure, she is also in part of being a writer. She has published 3 books, which are the articles about her life and Myanmar string puppetry. She has participated in many international puppet festivals in different countries all over the world. thank you, Mama Nyang, for being with us. Mama Nyang, yeah. Is your mic unmuted? Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So, my name is Mama Nai. I'm really grateful to have the chance to attend this ResiliArt UNIMA online discussion as a spokesperson for my country. This is the first time to experience such kind of unprecedented crisis in my life. It was a high season, receiving more audiences to the puppet show at my puppet theater in Manly when COVID-19 was first found in China. The first thing I'm very sad to see is that my master puppeteer, who is 90 years old, died on 30th March in the beginning of this outbreak in Myanmar. Especially performing artists are seriously affected in economy by this pandemic. We all rely on a public gathering to demonstrate our art. Public gathering is not allowed, and all theatrical artists have problems with the engagement to entertain at the ceremonies. All the theatrical troupes are to make contract with their members by paying a big amount of deposit money for the performances in a year. Now they got a big problem. It was already paid to the troupe members for the year of 2020, but performances are not allowed throughout the year. Even though the law and order was out not to make crowds with performances, some troupes made entertainment at the ceremony, and that troupe is punished not to make performances for 2 years. And some troops were entertaining, and the authorities arrived, and they had to stop immediately. And the puppeteer Amy in Nyang, who especially performs at the Pagoda festivals for local people, has been also in bad situation in economy because he mortgaged his house in order to pay the deposit money to the musicians and members. But now 1 year contract for 2020 is useless, and he lost his mortgage. He can do nothing with his art during this confinement, but he has to try to survive by selling some snacks, and he has no idea how to reset his art. Another troupe in Nyang, Tweu Myanmar, who has his small theater in his apartment and perform especially for tourists every night, is also in difficult situation. He has no income anymore and has been trying to survive as a delivery man. And puppeteers in Bagan work at a restaurant, so they rely on their salary, and the owner keeps giving their salary during this confinement. But the owner also cannot stand it anymore without regular income. Some puppeteers in Yangon and Manali who play puppet at the hotels are jobless now. And I had to stop my daily puppet shows at this theater on 12th April, and some and ice cream seller, mango, and noble. COVID-19 was first found in China. I had participated in the 6th Dadu International Puppet Festival in Bangalore, India on 31st December. And then before it has reached Myanmar, I could arrange to send 2 puppeteers from my theater to the 7th ASEAN Festival in Philippines in February. For me, I rely only on my daily income, and it is really difficult for me to manage to keep going on with daily expenses on different subjects without regular income. I needed to pay the salaries of my staff, monthly payments for the rent, monthly mortgage payments, and electricity meter charges. So I had to sell out my last property, my apartment. Government distribute essential food supplies to people in low-income category across the country and supported the garment and tourism sectors with some amount of loan. But the puppeteers got nothing. And the theater business is also not in the list of loan supporting for the resumption of the activities. As I'm one of the patrons of the Myanmar Theatrical Organization, I received some food supplies and 100,000 just from them. We are trying to regain the popularity among the public at the Pagoda festivals in this winter season and to go to the schools again. But COVID-19 has ruined everything. This crisis happened while I am planning to organize the 2nd International Puppet Festival in Manila in 2021. And I was drafting a project proposal with detailed activities for the training of future artists and to submit it to some organization. Anyway, one 16-year-old boy who really loves puppet has been practicing at my theater, and my husband, who is chronic diabetic, has been making more puppets during this confinement. I hope all theatrical performances will be allowed to start again next year, 2021. Good communication with monthly meetings and constant follow-up and assessment to keep the integrity and unity of the group in line with this goal is essential for the solidarity of any association. Due to the new technologies, it helps all the puppeteers from all over the world contact and see each other. It also gives me idea to make online meeting with my committee members. So it helps us in a group. Because of new, I'm very glad to see you all today sitting at my theater in Mandalay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohamed. Some of you may have visited her puppet theater, the previous one, as she said, in Mandalay. It's a beautiful small space and they perform each evening. And what is interesting in Myanmar, as in some of our countries, even in India, a lot of the traditional puppeteers also have connections with tourism agencies and travelers, and they're online, and the people buy tickets online and come to see their shows in the theater. An interesting thing which some of us have been managing to do. But I saw this in 2 or 3 places in Myanmar. Also, what is interesting that she uses her space. One of her colleagues teaches young children English and other language studies in the theater space into daytime at times. So they use the space as a multidisciplinary place, not just for performing, but also for teaching young people from the area. Thank you very much, Mohamed.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have is from India, Ranjana Pandey. Ranjana Pandey. She is UNIMA, she's on the executive board of UNIMA India. She's editor and publisher of the Sutradhar, the newsletter of UNIMA India, and counselor in UNIMA International, member of different national and international committees. Ranjana ran many development communication projects using puppetry on family planning, inclusion of intellectually challenged children. This is one of the main groups in India which started this many years ago. Management of disability, violence against women, adult education and environment. Editor and publisher of Sutradhar, an e-magazine on the puppet arts brought out by UNIMA India. It's incidentally on the UNIMA international site, you can click and see it. Member committee for puppetry at Sangeet Natak Academy, that's the National Academy of Performing Arts. Member committee of Ministry of Culture for approval of grants to performing artists. Very good, Ranjana. I hope you all get grants. Government of India. Presently on the faculty of several teacher training institutes, trainer to primary school teachers in using puppets in the classroom. Welcome, Ranjana Pandey, India.
Thank you very much. And thank you for organizing this roundtable. I'm absolutely delighted to be here as part of this spread out universal family of puppeteers. All the problems that we have spoken about up to now really resonate with all the issues in India. Except that India is a bit different. It's extremely diverse. The population and culture is so diverse and people are spread out. And there is an unknown number of puppeteers scattered all over the country. There has never really been a census or a database which has been collected effectively. And so we had to rely for this experience of connecting with puppeteers all over the country on our own personal resources and the small databases which each one of us has. Not having access, despite being, as Dadi pointed out so nicely, on many government bodies, not really having access to any kind of database which is reliable and universal. So we reached out, 5 of us, we divided up the entire geography and we went state by state, contacting people on the telephone, on the internet, and setting up Zoom meetings and connecting with people to run the 5 questions which had been given to us. People were absolutely delighted to be talked to. Idoya talked about sharing. And I think this has been a wonderful opportunity for people to share their problems, their small issues, and the big problems about the future with each other. And those who were talking to them also, I mean, members of UNIMA Trust, have similar issues. Each one of us is caught in this bind thanks to this pandemic. The situation overall is extremely distressing. All puppeteers everywhere have been without work since March. The savings are gone, and many have had to rely on support from civil society, from their peers, even for their day-to-day living and for their food. So livelihood issues are looming large, and some are seriously considering giving up puppetry. And here I'm not only talking about the marginalized rural puppeteer who lives in villages, but also the urban contemporary puppeteer who is at 6s and 7s. The biggest fear, of course, is that the future is unknown. Can gatherings take place? Will I lose my audience? So many of the puppeteers depend on the state to commission work. The government bodies have been commissioning work on social messages, water conservation, even on COVID awareness. But unfortunately, in all our findings, in all our conversations, the state has been absent. There has been complete silence from the culture department, from the Sangeet Natak Academy, from the local bodies even. Barring Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka, where a tiny amount has been given sometimes as pension or sometimes as a little monetary help which has gone to people. Many puppeteers have been surviving by selling puppets, but now markets are closed and they're sitting on this huge stock of ready-made puppets which they cannot sell. Some areas have had a double whammy. West Bengal, as you know, there was an enormous typhoon and the puppeteer families have lost their homes as well. Fortunately, the puppeteer community in West Bengal, those who were in urban areas, really rose to the occasion and have bailed them out. 40 artists are being supported, not by the state. There has been some support from the state, but mostly it is the help, the caring and the sharing they've got from their own puppeteer community, which is supporting 40 families. Disasters are not unknown. There have been cyclones time and again on the eastern coast. Gujarat had a terrible earthquake in 2001. Karnataka had a drought in the 90s, and puppeteers remember these events, but they also remember that they got out of it. There's a ray of hope, except that this is a long haul. As my colleague said, this is not a pause button. We don't know what the future is going to be like. Technology, thank God for it. We are able to stay in touch. Today is a great example. Borders and frontiers can be crossed. Distances shrink thanks to technology. But a country such as ours has patchy internet services, poor electricity supply, the monsoons, hailstorms, rain, anything can intervene in connectivity. So the best efforts, our Zoom meetings, our online efforts are not satisfactory. Some people freeze in midair and it's not puppetry which is happening, it's not animation, it's just poor connectivity. Some areas in the country like UP in the north, there is a great deal of gloom and resistance to using technology. They are convinced that their audience will never shift to online platforms, while others have been going ahead with setting up a YouTube channel, having WhatsApp classes for children, running workshops, but most people haven't been able to hit the ground running. Only a few people have been able to manage that. Mostly the responses have come very slowly. It's difficult to get material, there's a lockdown. If I want to create something, my colleagues can't come for a rehearsal. Social distancing is preventing people from interacting with each other. In the cities, puppeteers live in cramped quarters. It's very noisy. Even when they want to make a video, these young puppeteers said they had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning for silence to be able to rehearse and to be able to record their show. The cost of living in cities is very high. Rents have to be paid, EMIs, food has to be bought. So there is an element of depression which is setting in. I see some of the youngsters in a very unhappy zone, not much hope ahead. There are some heart-rending quotes, and women everywhere. I spoke to 3 women puppeteers. Anurupa is a woman puppeteer, so am I. We spoke to others, one in Uttar Pradesh, one in Hyderabad. They have a double load to carry. The families are at home, they have to provide for the families. The space has become even more cramped. There is no time for creativity. So some of the puppeteers have said sad comments like, our survival is at stake. Some have turned to manual labor. Some have actually said, maybe I'll have to give up puppetry. And the worst part is that work is seasonal. In the best of times, even in Europe, there's a boost of work in certain seasons. Now that seasonality has gone. April and March and May, which are big season in rural areas, was washed out completely. The next season will come in September, October, November, December. There is no hope whether performances will be able to take place. There are some positive ideas. People are happy still to explore collaborations within the form. Shadow puppeteers from Odisha would like to coordinate and work with those in Karnataka. String puppeteers from one state are happy to work with string puppeteers on the other state. How? We don't know. But there is a desire to do it. Some are taking advantage of this time to learn deeply from their masters, from their fathers, to go back into text, to repair old puppets, to make new ones. Creative work has also emerged. This difficult emotional upheaval which has been caused has been an impetus for creation and self-expression, but not for income generation. That requires dynamism, positive energy, and some kind of support, which we haven't yet got. Most are unsure of the future and how it will unfold. Free content on YouTube makes it difficult to sell tickets for online work. Workshops, WhatsApp classes, solo shows, camera online festivals, these are ideas which are fielded by people, but not everyone is capable, not everyone is techno-savvy, and so there's a long way to go. As UNIMA Puppeteers Trust, we have been having many discussions and we have come up with some strategies, and perhaps at a later time during the round table we can share those. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjana. Yeah, we both are in the same city and we know what's going on. What Ranjana said, that there are very few, some of the states, zonal centers of culture have tried to support, and the support is basically, as we know, daily livelihood rations. They've made a kit and there's so much food that's coming, but a lot of it is coming from civil society or the gurudwaras, the Sikh temples, which have huge kitchens, and they've been not only to puppeteers but people. And it as she said, it's both in the interior as well as in the city. And another thing that I noticed, that the many of these young puppeteers, especially the traditional puppeteers and some of the muppeteers, who have started making little YouTube awareness programs about wearing a mask and isolation and things like that. And at the hope that maybe the state governments or the Ministry of Health would sponsor them. And we're just hoping that something will happen. But as she said, that the creative space is suddenly gone because the day-to-day living has become so difficult that there's no time to think, or there's lethargy. There's, you're sitting in your house and you're wondering what the next day is going to happen and what shall I do? And so both ways, it's a cycle. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is from Egypt. Okay, Amira Soliman Mohammed from Egypt. She's a PhD in theater history, puppets and traditional preservations, UNIMA Egypt consultant, Egyptian artist and art consultant, exhibition curator, Master in Traditional Theatre and Folklore, member of MOMA, and founder of Mentasphere, Association for Fine Arts and Mental Health. Winner of Professor Rakhawi Award in Creative Arts for Mental Health, Qasr Al-Aini Hospital for Mental Health 2019. Welcome. She's also associated with UNIMA Egypt. Welcome, Amira.
Thank you all for this opportunity to get connected even with the big distance. Regarding the situation in Egypt, the puppet community is deeply affected by the crisis of coronavirus, which is not the same plan that UNIMA Egypt was planning, as by the beginning of the year we was holding the exhibition for puppet and puppeteer to be engaged with the educational and mental health community by holding the third round of UNIMA Egypt exhibition. And it was very successful with many participants who came with great ideas, involved with professional in educational and in mental health professionals as a new scope for puppets and puppeteers. But after the January end started the problem of coronavirus, and the lockdown started by the end of February, sorry, by the end of February. So most of the events and planned agenda was cancelled. Even the local Memorial Day in Port Said, which is very popular in Port Said, one of the east cities, was cancelled. But the puppet was they put it in a big vitrine in a glass vitrine, and people just show the puppet and memorize the day without any performance, which was very odd in this time. And also all the performances are stopped since February. Part of the puppet community in Egypt here is divided in two ways. There is an official Cairo Puppet Theater. It's a very big institute and organization that held the mainstream for the puppets in Egypt. It's the whole people connected to this puppet theater are doing nothing during the lockdown. But in the parallel, the puppeteers who are freelancers or private companies are working through YouTube channels, trying to reach out with workshops to enhance the potentials and to make more advantage of the lockdown, to work on the techniques and how to be more advanced in your scope of even its puppet with the string puppets or shadow puppets or whatever kind of puppet you have. They are focusing on more training and educating themselves, or educating, making a connection to communicate and make a new ideas. Most of them are making a YouTube channels who is processing ideas and techniques to other people. But in outside Cairo, there is one initiative with Mr. Mohammed. It's a private theater based only for puppets, and this is the only income came from the tickets of these puppets. The big problem was to have the shops is closed, so the materials itself is not available anymore, so they couldn't continue to produce what's supposed to be produced. So they are stopped, and we held for the communication between our community. We do many Zoom meeting, and it was actually very successful, because the artists consider it's an appreciation and a feeling of the commitment between us, to feel there is someone who supports us, even without any financial support, but at least we know what is the problem for each one, and they have a space to talk, and maybe some of others get involved and start to help each other in some problems, which is what a very good social support rather than financial support. For the coming steps, now they are softly, gradually opening some theaters, and some companies started to do some performances, considering the new regulation for COVID-19 is to have a limited seats, have a space between audience, 25 capacity of any theater, and also, but it's getting to start again. Still, the puppet community in Egypt, not basically put their income on puppets. They are only focusing in to have a side job and have puppets as a hobby. It's not the only way to fund or have income. So they are not having the problem itself by stop the performance, but they are the total income is stopped also. So the problem become in a double way. Now it's getting a little bit easier than the total lockdown we have. We hope it's getting better. Our plan as UNIMA to have an paid workshop for the masters, who will give a workshop for people who want to advance their level, but it will be paid with the evaluation after it, and have a certificate to approve how much they master their work. And after a while, this will be a little bit like academic way to hold income for the master of the puppets and artists. Thank you for sharing, and I hope all of us could get involved with more and get a new solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amira. Egypt has quite a vibrant puppet theater tradition as well as modern work. People are working on the net. There was a very famous puppeteer who passed away about a year ago, Professor Dr. Nagesh Shaker, who had ages ago studied with the famous German puppeteer, the string puppeteer, and one of his performances became so famous that there are many people who are replicating that show again. And UNIMA Egypt, Amira and her colleagues also, I must say, contributed by donating remade new copies of the traditional glove puppet, Aragos puppets. Of course, they have developed today into more features and things, but they went and they had some of the original figures in a museum, and they got a master puppeteer to create these for the UNIMA, 90th celebration exhibition, which right now is, as you know, sitting in boxes. It finished in Charleville. It's going to go to Spain and other countries, and because of this problem, it's sitting in boxes. Thank you very much, Amira, and it's been a pleasure to have you all here. Our next speaker, and we should wish him, because it was his birthday a few days ago on the 24th, is Haluk Yüce from Turkey. And Haluk lives in Ankara, and he has his own little theater there. I'll just get Haluk's bio with me here. Haluk Yüce, puppeteer and director. Haluk Yüce, 1954, has been owner of a puppet theater, Teatro Tempo. It's his own space in Ankara, and it's very popular. Since 1984, the space. He's an actor, a director, and puppet designer. He has a Master of Fine Arts degree in puppetry from USA, if I'm not mistaken, from the Eugene O'Neill or the Connecticut Center. I'm not sure. Where Bart Rockerburton is involved. He is giving classes in the universities and doing workshops, as well as contemporary works. He performs Turkish traditional shadow puppet Karagöz. He was a student of one of the famous puppeteers who passed away, Çelebi. Is that right, Haluk? Yeah.
Right.
And he has performed in many different countries. So, Haluk from Turkey.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you that UNIMA organized that kind of meeting, and we don't feel alone ourselves in the during days. It's very important that. I want to give a report about the situation in Turkey because I sent the answer of your questions to you. That's why it's the summary of the situation could be better, I thought. In the beginning of pandemic period, everybody was confused. At 23rd of March, curfew was started. The people after 65 years old couldn't go out until end of May, like me. Everybody made discussions about what to do during curfew stay through social media, basically, because it was not possible to get audience and to go to schools performances. Especially traditional puppeteers, mainly traditional Turkish shadow puppet Karagöz artists, worked on construction of Karagöz puppets and new designs. Some of them were trying to write new scripts and made rehearsals. And very few of traditional puppeteers made live stream performances on social media, but those were not effectively common. And UNIMA Turkish Center and Karagöz Association, located in Istanbul, tried to communicate to the Turkish Republic Cultural Ministry in order to solve economic problems of puppeteers. During those days, at the same time, all organizations of private dramatic theater groups were trying to get together, contact with government, and establish a strong organization in order to represent theater people in front of government. In that point, we cannot say that there is a strong theater organization for any right pressing to government. That's why we are not getting more things from the government to solve the basic problems of to live. The only thing government did for all theater companies, including traditional puppeteers, a kind of support. Cultural Ministry planned to create a digital theater library, which theater groups will give a video of one of their play for, and government will pay a kind of copyright. This is too small of money, but it could be some meaning for an artist who doesn't have a theater place and who is working alone or with only one assistant. 67 puppeteers were applied for that project under the umbrella of UNIMA Turkish Center and organization. At the same time, in Istanbul, 35 puppeteers applied under the organization of Karagöz Association. Right now, all of those groups are shooting their performances videos for the digital library. In my opinion, that government support is nothing in what the puppeteers facing during pandemic. During these days, some of dramatic theaters started to do performances under organization and support of couple of municipalities. There are some puppeteers also among them. In my perspective, the puppeteers will not be able to perform and get enough audiences to survive in the near future. School performances will not be possible, which are most important income for puppeteers, because there is the schools are closed, and the government don't let the under the 18 years old children go indoor in anywhere for events. That's why the puppeteers are in the difficult situation right now. That's the situation, and the government opened the theater season in the beginning of the July, but it is not possible to perform right now. Thank you for listening now for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Haluk, for your presentation. There's an interesting thing which I once saw in his theater in Ankara, which maybe if we have space, we could replicate somewhere. This was a workshop, and besides the normal performances that happened from the repertoire, they had contacted commercial organizations. The day I was there, a bank, and the bank had sold this workshop to all its families. And what was very interesting was that in the lobby, in the foyer, the parents came with their kids, and then they made these little puppets. Then the kids went into the theater and saw a performance. And while they were seeing the performance, the parents were outside, being introduced to arts education or therapy. I can't remember what, but it was an interesting concept that these guys had. I do not know if it still carries on, but it's not the first time that I saw that, and it's something that was, I always thought about that. It was quite interesting. There was a whole activity that happened with the parents, the kids' performance, as well as the parents that sitting outside. And I think there was a little snack that was given to everybody, and then they had a counselor or someone speaking. So thank you. I'm not sure. I think, I'm sorry, but I think Mohammed Siraj from Morocco is not with us. I think he's having connectivity problems. I'm not very clear. So that's sad, but maybe if we have another Asia Pacific, which I hope we can, because of some other countries which are missing here, we should involve Mohammed. Mohammed is a young puppeteer in Morocco who works with his glove puppets, and yeah, he does a lot of art education. Again, coming back to all these little quotes that I found, and some of them are easier said than done, but some of us have been very positive. Some of us have said the truth as to what is happening. And most of us here at least have a roof above our heads. But there are many, many puppeteers, some of in Myanmar, in India, where they're living in interiors and in simple conditions, and it's extremely difficult. Some of them, our agriculturists, have their farms, so for a few months they have something, but after that, no. As many of us said, that many of our traditional puppeteers rely on seasonal work or festivals, and that cannot happen because of this problem. But again, going through these points, as I said, easier said, but I'll read them out. Avoid seeing crisis as insurmountable problems. It's again easier said than done. Positive thinking. Accept that change is a part of living. Yes, but okay, it's being forced on us. Move towards your goals. Take decisive actions. Look for opportunities for self-discovery, as many of our puppeteers are looking for alternative livelihood. Basically, where is the bread going to come from tomorrow? And some are making things to sell. Some who are good at stitching are making craft things, including making little masks to sell, in a creative way, glove puppets. Nurture a positive view of yourself. Yes. Hopefully, keep things in perspective and maintain a hopeful outlook. Yes, we all hope that this will also pass sometime. And thank you for all of us being here. What is interesting is that we all came together due to due to something which has brought many puppeteers all over the world, or artists all over the world together. And that is what is interesting. And I think we should carry this on. It's also an opportunity to induct younger puppeteers into UNIMA. You know, it's not that we just limit it to UNIMA, but it could be puppeteers who are non-UNIMA members. And I know that there are many problems in many of our countries between UNIMA members and puppeteers, and they don't see eye to eye. But maybe this is a way to bring them together if they can see what is being done. Our hosts and Anurupa UNIMA office has also requested that we all send our reports and anything else that you want to put to us. So Anurupa will collate it and she'll send it back to us as well as the office. Soon this will also be on the Facebook page, as you've seen many of the others, and we will let you know when that happens. I don't see any questions as yet from people. People have been listening. I do not know how many have been listening. If Clement can tell us, are there a lot of people listening? I don't know. But eventually it will get to people. And yes, are there any things that you would like to put after you've heard each other? Anybody wants to say something? Is there a question? Just put, so give us a signal so we can put on your thing. Is there something? Anybody would like to make an observation?
Daddy, you have sent questions for this panelists, right?
Yes. I had, yes, there were questions. That's right.
Yeah.
I found this.
Are we going to talk about it?
Yes, we can. Are you considering a new approach for your transnational activities? International tour cooperation with other artistic teams. Does this crisis bring you a new strategy for crossing borders? Well,
yes.
How does the art of puppetry make it possible to go international? Do you think that the current public fund for international is adapted to the situation that is coming? It's not just in this period of time, it's always been that it's not easy. How do you see the art world after COVID-19? Interesting question. What can institutions do to help artists get out of this crisis? Artists were able to respond immediately with their art through the different social networks to the pandemic. Have the different institutions been up to the task? Well, some have mentioned yes and no. So if somebody would like to comment on this or any other questions that you feel are relevant.
May I talk a little bit about that? Main problem is that closed borders for the foreigners. Some countries are not open, borders not open. Which country can let the artist come in and give visa? Also, visa problem will be appear. Grants are only project to make realization of project, not for artists or owner of theater to survive. That's why it is difficult. If you give a project, you have to show the all expenses, but there is no for living expenses in that project. Right now in Turkey, there is no public fund enough to survive for artists. We are about to close our 35 years old theater. Yeah, our theater. Because especially traditional puppeteers has problems to establish international relations. But the very important thing that collaboration with the other countries for the small groups or director could come to Turkey and to direct a play or teach some techniques of puppetry. This is a solution to do something, but performance are difficult still. In my opinion, we cannot perform in front of the audience until the October of 2021. It will not be happen, I think. It is a bad future, but this is the situation I see. And only we have some support right now from the European Cultural Institute, like Goethe Institute. Maybe they will support us economically and to give some money for the equipments also. This is the only thing we are having right now.
Right. This is
Maybe
right.
in your countries also, you can apply to the foreign cultural institute to get some support.
We in India, I think we saw two organizations: the Goethe Institute, German Cultural Institute, as well as the Swiss, Cultural Institute, and they had put out calls for grants. I'm not sure what has happened. Do Anurupa or anybody know about this? Have they come out with anything? Because some time ago they had put out calls for projects. We do not know. Hopefully in some countries there are local bodies as well. India Foundation for the Arts in India. I'm sure there may be some others, but it's, as Haluk has said, it's a personal endeavor. You'll have to keep pushing and finding out what is there. And what I recall again from Ranjana is that due to this whole situation, it's a block, we've suddenly stopped. Many of us have just stopped thinking creatively to make things and all, because we are worried about where we're going to do what. I did see some interesting things in USA and in another country where they had outdoor performances. So because of the isolation problem, indoors is a problem. They had outdoor shows with people sitting and performing. There's also a puppeteer somewhere who you can book, and he comes outside your house and he puts up his little booth, and there's something, and people sit on the porch or the veranda and see things like that. But I don't know. I think we'll have to think out of the box eventually, find out what is possible or not possible. I don't know, puppeteers, both urban as well as, even festivals, as you know, in Turkey also, that there is a specific religious festival where the shadow puppeteer is always called to perform for a child. In many of the Middle East countries, puppeteer. And if that doesn't happen, then that puppeteer also loses his livelihood. So, yeah. Any more comments on this?
I would like to know.
Yeah.
I would like to know what have been the experiences of all the people here on conducting an online festival, because we are exploring the possibility of doing that. I would like to know what your experiences have been.
Has anybody been doing something like that, where they're collecting funds or?
We are making this online webinars with puppeteers. But first you have to make in-person communication with the masters who will conduct the webinars, because they are not familiar with the environment and not familiar with using this technology. So we are making a one-to-one meeting first to make a demo, what will happen and how it could be conducted, and make one online trial, and after that we will conduct the webinar or the workshop. The problem is the main problem is the strength of the connection. If it is weak in the place, or the one who will conduct didn't have the facility like the computer, the smartphones, we try to make it as limited as we can, and use the very basic materials, very basic technology concepts, which is a very big barrier. The second thing, the commitment. Many people are saying, yeah, okay, we will do it. We will send you the application. We will send you the puppets. But in the spot of the time of the webinar or the workshop, you find some is not attending. So you have to prepare your library before going online. In case for miscommunication, for any urgency, you had to have all your materials, even as a videos, even as a pictures, a written direction from the one who will do the workshop. In case of something happen, you will have a backup. This is the most highlighted things we face.
I got a little text here in my chat from Thailand, where they said a new approach for transnational. A plan in Thailand is to begin with the creation of online platforms for international communication, which Thai people can learn from. In support of this, we launched the Harmony World Puppet Channel with the Thai Puppet Festival online. And in August, we will hold the Harmony Puppet Festival online. This will be an international puppet festival with participants from 8 Asian countries to focus on local puppetry and facilitate collaboration and knowledge exchange between nations. It's an online festival. Ranjana, UNIMA India is planning an online festival. Maybe you want to tell us something about what we're thinking about, or how we're going to go about it, or what the problems are.
It was really interesting to hear Amira's comments and suggestions, and the problems are really very parallel, because people who are out there, they may be master puppeteers, but they do not have the technical know-how, or they don't have the internet connectivity, or it's raining so much that the connection is broken. So you can't really have a live performance, you know. You can only have, like you suggested, create a library and perhaps have a festival like that. But the other problem is marketing for such a festival. On the one hand, we feel that, you know, the internet connects to the entire world, but how do you market in the entire world? We are not experienced in that.
Right.
Suggestions, any guidance?
Also, yeah.
For marketing, using a very clear Facebook page is one of the aspects of marketing. And also one application is also very easy to reach, is like TikTok and all this stuff. You will need one who is capable of doing a promo videos about the festival, about the slogan, about the logo, and then you will go forward. If you would like to have many views, you will make an fund for a small campaign for the festival before it, but not too early. It's just before the festival. After you do all your arrangements, you will do the marketing plan with the Facebook. They have many categories, and also there is some companies who are accelerating the number of views in a specific time as you will commit. This is one of the ways we do in marketing, but word of mouth or outside posters or this stuff was, now it's not working, and it costs a lot with no use.
The main,
also,
yeah.
I can suggest that for the online activities about puppetry, UNIMA can help. UNIMA can let all the countries to know about the festival, and also the ASITEJ, International Children's and Youth Theater organization, also can help to let all the world follow the festivals.
Right. Our main concern in many of the online things is to be able to sell tickets, to be able to sell whatever price. I do not know. Some are expensive, some are less, but to try and get some income from the online festival. This is and which might go to the group or the organization, with the many heads putting on the thing online. This is what is right now we are trying to find people who are putting things online. I think Anurupa has already found some company in India who's going to help with this, but she's going to try it on the 1st. We are performing on the 7th as a live festival where one of our light technicians has managed to get a space, and I do not know. As of now, only the 3 people who have, maybe sponsored. Everybody's liking it online. Everybody's saying nice things, but eventually it is the purchase of tickets. So let's see how it goes. I don't know, but it's a trial. It's something that has to be done. What else? Yeah.
Yes, so eventually it is really about being able to have another opportunity, a different opportunity for generating some income. I think that is the most important thing. One, of course, is to hold on to your audience, to be in the public eye. People should, should not become too distant from the idea of theatre. But I also liked the comment by Michael Barlow when he was talking about understanding this new medium, understanding the camera, understanding the cinematic practices, which are closer to the format that we are all exploring now rather than theater. So that is something which has been lacking in our experiences. And perhaps we can throw it open to the world community and ask for training in that or some guidance.
Right. I think Edoya would like to say something. Edoya?
Yes, well, I'm a bit confused with this kind of festivals and performance online, because I think theater is made to see a life. I understand that we are living now a very strange situation, and that artists need to live, and that we need to find a solution to this situation. But to see a performance through the screen, we are seeing a film, and for this is the cinema. For this are the films. We are speaking about theater, puppet theater. Puppet theater is another thing. We need the close contact with the public, with the audience, and this through the screen we cannot have this close contact. And moreover, if we are speaking about videos, which is the quality of these videos? We always say, when I'm not a puppeteer, I'm an organizer, and we always say that when we are seeing a performance on video, we cannot we cannot have 100% we cannot judge 100% the quality of the show, because it's not the same. And the artists, they said, but it's not the same to see a performance on video than to see a performance live. And I completely agree. It's not at all the same. And many times you are watching a video and you make a lot of mistakes because, or it is, and you see and you said, oh no, this is horrible. And after you see a live and it is fantastic, or just the opposite. You see and it has been manipulated and you see something fantastic, and after you see a live and it is horrible. So it's not the same to see a video.
It is right, yeah.
I agree that we have to find a solution for the artists these days. But is the solution to do festivals? I found, for instance, there was in Italy, they made a festival, Arrivano del Mare made a festival online, and I like very much this solution because they didn't do a performance, whole performance. They make like a very short performances made for this festival online. And I found this solution very interesting because they made special things for this festival online. And that was made also here for the National Drama Center. They asked artists to do special performances to help the artists. They asked the artists to make special performances for being done to see online. And also explaining how they were feeling or they are feeling this situation for an artist to be confined at home. But for me, to see the performance on a screen, a performance that must be seen online or live, well, I don't like very much. That is my opinion, of course.
What we're battling with our ResiliArt company, because on the 7th we are performing, and we were asked, there were about 4, it's a festival 2 evenings from 4 p.m. to 6 or 7, and actually there are mostly four companies. Ours is the puppet one, but the rest 3 are dance companies. And the idea was that they do something, and they said maximum 1 or 2 people. Now our shows have 4, 5, 6 persons. So we said we can't do a full performance, but we will do small excerpts live with the music. It's live. They said we can only afford 1 camera and it's going to be there. So I said, okay, in between I'll introduce the thing and we'll just do, and it's live. It's going one time. So people will see it and that's it. It's not going to be recorded and left. Let's see what happens. We do not know, but this is the reality, as Eduard says. What is how do we get out? I mean, Haluk has a theater, or Mamanai has a fixed theater space. So I don't know what, and also what the other problem of selling performances, there's so much just now on the net, on video, on YouTube, on this, on that, even to make workshops with puppetry. Why is someone going to come and pay us to do that when already they can just click on make a hand puppet, make a shadow puppet, you know, things that, so there has to be some innovative thing to try and sell. UNIMA India thought of doing an introduction, or the puppeteer, the master speaks, and then he shows a little excerpt. Anurupa.
I just wanted to jump in and say something. Radha, you talked about resilience in the beginning, and it's very interesting. Also listening to all of you and the conversation we have had with puppeteers, and particularly from your comment right now, Idoya, is I think people are moving into 3 phases. And also to understand, and this has been very interesting for me, that you can no longer look at people and say, this is someone who is a traditional performer, maybe in Bengal, which has also been hit by a cyclone, and he's really in a bad state. It's very interesting. I spoke to one puppeteer and invited him to do the UNIMA India workshop. He doesn't have a smartphone. He found a neighbor who has a smartphone. He's taught himself Zoom so that he can come on one of our live interactions with an audience where he will meet people from across the world. So this for me is true resilience, where you don't know something, he doesn't know how to read or write, but he teaches himself something to be able to access something new, because this is survival. But we also have, you know, sometimes I've come across, especially theater, big dance companies, ballet companies, where directors are really broken because they had big tours, you know, they had big plans this year. Everything is gone. So I think it's no longer about where you come from. It's about what you have inside to fight the situation and say, I will try something new. And so also this new space has a lot of potential of, you were not doing what you're doing with your live audience, where you were maybe 10 feet away, like 3 meters away or 2 meters away. Now you have the screen in between. So maybe it's the time to make art, which is for the screen, with our techniques and our skills, and something new emerges. It is not live theater, admitted, but it is something. And it is not a video, and it is not anime.
Anurupa, I completely agree. And maybe in this situation, it come up another way to do performances. Maybe you can do a performance, you with Michael, with Haluk, and with Amira. But it is not the same. This is what I'm saying. You cannot try to do the same performance that you are doing live in the theater through internet, through the screen. You can do something completely new and fantastic, I'm sure, because you have seen on Facebook, choirs, for instance, singing together through internet, one here, one another, that was fantastic. And maybe you can do a performance like this.
Yes.
And can be something that you say, oh my God, what is this? And can be something completely new. But this is another thing. And I'm not against this. I'm not against this. What I don't see is the other way that I think is another thing. I'm not against this because I found it fantastic. And I said, and I always said when we finished the roundtables, that I found that something good from this horrible situation, that has made us to be more close. And this is the good of this situation. And maybe something good of this situation is that we, or you, because I'm not an artist, but you can make something like what you have said. Make a performance between Haluk in Turkey, Amira in Egypt, and Michael or whoever in another part of the world. Why not? If a choir can do it, why you cannot do it?
I think we are all agree that live performance is not same online any performance. But for now, especially for us as a theater tempo, for now to survive is very important. If we cannot survive and if we cannot stay on that business, I am underlining the business, I cannot talk to the whatever it is best for us. We have to discuss also on that.
Okay, there is a question on the Q&A. I didn't know there was another click. Some puppeteers in India have been working on new performances on the internet, specially designed for Zoom or Insta video, combining the features of this new media with our art forms. There is some curiosity to see what new vocabulary may or may not emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a response, sorry. I was told that there was a question on Q&A.
Yeah, and there is a performance that has been made especially for this that will be played on the 1st of August. It has been made by some Korean, I think. I don't remember, but I can share with you if you are interested. It will be played on the 1st of August, and it has been made especially for internet. It's not a performance made to play live. I received the information. Maybe you have it also. But if you don't have it, we can share the information with you. And I'm curious to see what, because it has been produced especially for internet, for Facebook or for internet. So I'm curious to see it. It will be on the 1st of August.
Sure. I keep getting a alert. There is a question on question and answer, but I don't see where.
That if you look below, next to the participants is the Q&A column. Maybe
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a chat, there's a share screen, there's a Q&A, and in the Q&A there was a There was no open questions answered. Dismiss, nothing. That was a suggestion. It was an observation. Non-chat. Chat is there. If you can see it, can you tell us what it is?
I will tell you what it is.
Yep.
It says, 1 second. Oh no, now I can't see it for some reason.
That's what I read out. That was an observation.
Yeah,
that wasn't a question. Yeah. Okay.
That's the only one we can see.
Right. Okay, I think we have had a very long and interesting session. Is there anything else that you would like to speak about? Because I'm told that there's a huge audience who's watching on Facebook, and they will more again watch the recorded version when it's put there. So is there anything else that you would like to tell people, or anything else that comes to mind? Please, then we wrap up. Yeah.
Just a thought in response to some of the discussion around the putting performance online and that being a new form. And also in response to one of the questions about that was posed about what the art world might look like after COVID-19. And I think that we're just at the beginning of finding out how what new way there is to give us that feeling of being in a space together when we're not physically in the theatre together, because that's what we're missing so much. Yeah, the relationship between the artists and the audience, and that awareness of each other in the space, that we can't really reproduce that online at the moment. And I think that that's something that we will discover, because I don't think this way of reaching each other is going to end at the end of this period. I think we've sort of opened up a heap of new doors that are giving us all sorts of new possibilities. So I think one of the exciting things is that somewhere, somehow, we're going to find ways to feel that we're together in this new way. But we're just beginning.
Yep, Ido,
last Friday, we have now some artists in residency here in Topic. We have artist residency here. And I was speaking with the director of this, it is a dance company now. And I was asking, how are you doing now? And so, and he was saying, well, the situation is horrible. Almost everything has been canceled, and so and so and so. We have some things, but very few. And what we have is also very strange feeling, because I don't know in your countries, but here we are always wearing this all time with this, except if I'm alone as I'm now, no? And he was saying he was in a performance, he was playing, and he said it was the most strange feeling I had, because I was playing, there was a very few people, because we have, how do you say, restrict audience.
Restriction.
And so there was few people, the maximum they can, but few people. Everybody was with this, like this. It was hot, so it was open air, because most of the performance are open air. So most of the people was having some kind of hat or something. So he said, I couldn't feel the reaction of the public. I couldn't see if they were smiling, if they were, so it was a very, very strange feeling. I don't know if they were happy with the performance, if they were, so it was a very, very strange performance. It was as if I was playing for toys, for statues. It was, so he said, it is not only that we cannot play, that most of the performance has been postponed, but also that when we can play, people is, you cannot feel really the audience. So it is.
True. Well, I think this is the reality. Let's get together again and see what is good. We're about to close, and just before we close, I think let's remember that so many of our colleagues and friends have passed on during this time due to this pandemic, and maybe even within this time, and also to support all the frontline workers who have been working really hard and trying to convince people to wear a mask, do this, do that, and some of us don't listen. And I think these are our heroes. And it's not just puppeteers or artists, but behind the artists, there are so many people, the light technicians, people who weave cloth, who make a costume, who do this, who do that. And all these people are sitting, idle. We are the final ones who perform, but behind us, there's so many others. And in whatever way, personally, or we can find, or we have the possibility to find organizations or to help out even in small ways, we should do that. So I thank you all for being here with us, and I wish you all good health and stay safe, and let's keep in touch. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anurupa, Clement, all the others backstage, thank you very much. Kedoya, everybody. Wish you all safety and good health. Bye.
Okay, thank you to everybody. I just want to recall that we encourage all the national centers to organize their own roundtable inside this program, ResiliArt program. And this roundtable will be done between September to March. And it's very important that you can that you contact us in the email resiliart@unima.org. You can find it on the UNIMA website because we want to know what's happened inside the different country. Of course, we don't know. I just said that we receive a lot of comments from Egypt and Iraq on Facebook today, so that's good. And if you want to continue, I encourage to make your own ResiliArt roundtable. If there is no national center in your country, you can also contact us and we will find a solution to do it, of course. And what else? Yes, the next roundtable will be next week, the 3rd of August, and it will be in Chinese languages. And the name of the panelists will be online very soon. And after that, we will start again at the middle of September. We are working on the new schedule. So you can contact us and we will continue to manage international roundtable and also national roundtable, but the priority will be done to the national roundtable. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. So I stop the recording. Bye.
Bye.